from Being in Sync. Today I'm doing a review and I want to talk about cultivating greater self-awareness. For those of you who are new to the channel, put on your notifications because I come on and do live videos when I feel inspired. Last year I did it every day of the year, and this year I have not done it as frequently, so you'll definitely want to have your notifications on. My name is Kiana Sage, and this is Raw. Yeah, she just had her lunch. And I come on and I talk about the natural laws of how energy is actually moving. I do that through physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual awareness. And I help my clients become more aligned. Hi, Tammy. So good to see you. Sending lots of love to you. How are you doing? How are you doing? Today I wanted to talk about cultivating more self-awareness, and I just wanted to do my own review. Hey, Mick. Good to see you. I've been here. I've had some things that are percolating that I'm changing. Oh, Tammy, I'm glad you're doing well. Mick, how are you doing? Rod just ate her lunch. Yep, she just ate her lunch. And we have to hold her after she eats. She eats 4 times a day. And she needs to be held because her little esophagus is, she gets acid reflux. Anyway, so we hold her for about 7 minutes and then she does not throw up. Hey, Oliver. Oh, hi. Oliver says, hi, Ra. And you're so cute. She does not like her paws held. She's a very particular little puppy. You're good, Mick. How have I been? Well, I'm going to update you on how I've been. I got some interesting updates on my heavy metal. So for many of you know, I do heavy metal testing every year. Now, when I first realized how many heavy metals I had in my system, I was neurotic and checking every, how often was I checking my heavy metals? About once a quarter, so 4 times a year. And then because I wanted to see if what I was doing to cleanse my system was actually changing things. So first of all, thank you all for being here. And let me just finish this little bit. When you are cultivating self-awareness, you want to see if what you're doing is working, which is what I was doing with my heavy metal testing. So I finally realized that what I was doing for a year, which was the most popular cleanse out there that I've been able to find, and it didn't work. So it might work if you have micro heavy metal issues, but most of us who have heavy metal issues don't have micro issues. We have more density in our systems, and so it requires a different approach. Anyways, that's how I came upon Ayurvedic healthcare. Anyways, I got my heavy metal tested. I do it every year now. So I've gone from 4 times a quarter to then I found what was working and I got double-digit progress, and I was super excited. I was getting on the other side of it. Hold on. Ah! Okay, put Raw down. So I got my test done again this year. I get it. When did I do it? I did it in January. My hair needs to be a certain length with no color on it. So as you can see, I'm not a natural blonde. In fact, that's another fun story, how I got to be blonde. So I did these heavy metal testing. I got my results and it didn't go. This time was the first time since I've been doing the heavy metal testing that I actually increased in heavy metals. And I thought, that's curious. I had a significant reaction to the fogs, and I believe it showed up in my heavy metals. So after the initial shock wore off, the data, I now have a game plan and I'm moving forward, and I'm in prep stages for another cleanse or purge or whatever you want to call it. So it's actually quite intense process. Yeah, so what I wanted to say is about cultivating greater awareness is that one of the things that needs to be done is you have to have data, and hello, kitty cat warning. Nice. Good to see you here. One of the things that I think that most people who are cultivating awareness, they try to do it through the mind, like right thinking, and they're not using a data point. So to have a pattern of that needs to be broken in order to get greater awareness, most people resist changing those patterns. And the pattern that came up to me today that I was thinking about was addiction. And I think it's kind of a funny, so this idea of addiction is basically a lack of what I would call impulse control, right? So when people go and move from one addiction to another, so let's just say when somebody is into, let's just say, alcohol addiction or smoking addiction or whatever, and then they stop that pattern and they switch it to something else. And this is kind of a rhetorical question, really, because they think, again, the thinking mind, they think it's a healthier, because what is health, right? Health is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual alignment. So if you have a lack of impulse control in any aspect, is that really healthier because it does less damage? Well, potentially, because so here we go into the law of correspondence, the law of for every action, there's a reaction. So there is a consequence. What is this live? It sounds interesting. Today, we're talking about cultivating greater self-awareness. Kitty cat. I don't even want to think about what a kitty cat warning is. What is that? Do I dare ask? You all with these names are so funny. Deluxe. Hello. Good to see you. Mick. Meow. So anyway, so cultivating greater awareness really is about having awareness, having presence, being present. Oftentimes when we are in patterns, there becomes an unconscious drawing, right? So, ma'am, you are religious or are you an atheist? I'm neither. Why do you have to be one or the other? I'm very spiritual. Can you give your reason for believing or not believing? I could, but why? I mean, I just believe in the natural laws, and that really is all that really matters. I believe in the natural laws, and that's what energy is operating off of, with these principles that are at play that most people are ignorant of. And so I come on here every day to talk about that. But this ties right back into heavy metals, because if you have heavy metals in your body, it will change how you resonate. A resonance is essentially how you are signaling. So if you're signaling and your body is filled with heavy metals or a poison, it's going to change the frequency. So many people have elements within their body that they're not consciously aware of. That doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that they're not aware of it. How do you begin to change your conscious awareness? Is by changing patterns and noticing what's happening within you. Does that make sense? I'm getting hot just talking about this. Let's see. I asked because I believe in God and I feel hurt because why is God allowing all these bad things to happen to me? Well, I would offer to you that it's not God letting. So look at something like this. And I respect everybody's choice in how they believe. And it's okay to question what you believe. I believe in God. I believe in the natural laws, and I also believe that there are nefarious energies that are operating using these natural laws that most people are not consciously aware of. So if you're not consciously aware of the laws and you're not claiming your body as a vehicle of God, it can be quite a devastating life experience. Constant pain. Yeah. Okay. Ronan is saying, ma'am, due to the constant pain and hurt I have to go through despite being a believer. So, Ronan, I would ask that you try to just really get in pure connection with your heart. Okay? Get not through your heart. And that's why people struggle. And Rohan is saying that I'm almost at the point of turning into an atheist against my own wish. And what I would say, Rohan, is that this is the anti-Christ, anti-life, anti-God consciousness. It's a lower frequency, and you are 100%. It does cause a lot of pain. It causes a lot of pain. And my best advice is to connect with your heart and start to challenge what it is that you believe. It's not your belief in God, it's your exposure to these other energies that is causing this conflict. And this conflict can become an internal conflict. Oh, Rakesh. Oh, hi, Rakesh. Good to see you. I'm so sorry. Hopefully what I'm sharing is helpful. This conflict needs to be resolved within you. Okay? It's not going to be resolved with a religion. It's not going to be resolved with somebody else answering to you. And this brings up something else that I wanted to talk about. I had somebody call for a consult this last week. And at the end of the consult, she was like all in. And then she was like, I need to know what you're going to do for me. And that's different for every single person that I ever have a work with. Because how you experience your experience is going to be different than somebody else. And everybody is at a different stage of a conscious awareness or awakening. And often I will say is pain can be an exceptional motivator to shifting into higher consciousness. But you must consciously choose every day to do something else that's in alignment with your heart, in alignment with life, in alignment with creating and cultivating your inner connection. And so let's go back to impulse control and addiction, which is a lack of inner connection. So how do we know when we have enough inner connection? We have a propensity to look at ourselves as becoming more aware and less judgmental. That means that you begin to see and accept others as they are and not as you are. So, because we're all different and we all have a different reaction and resonance. So let me just see. Mick is saying, Rohan, I've been through more pain. The most protect yourself, speak life as God and deliver you. You can fight back, but you're not a victim. And Mick, you're speaking to a very common program that's called victimizer, where it pits people against each other, which is also alignment with the divide and conquer programming. These are programs that are happening within the mind. So we have to clear our mind. We clear our mind through our connection to our heart. And I know that's very difficult because a lot of people have been conditioned or blocked out of connecting to their hearts, which is why there's so much pain. This pain is to often wake us up. Now, we all go through situations. We all have life challenges. There's no getting out of a challenge in this lifetime. Forget it. how we contend and walk through life is really important. So this morning, I woke up, I saw a message that I actually thought, like, this is very incongruent, this message. There's something wrong here. And I started to notice in my mind that I was going down, getting a reaction to me energetically. And I paused and I asked myself, is this in alignment with my purpose in being aligned to oneness? Is this, and that task absolutely was not in alignment with oneness. That thought process was not in alignment with oneness. So Mick, I believe that we're in sync here. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. So thank you, Mick, for your contribution there. Do you have a reliable resource to learn more about the physical laws you are mentioning? Well, I'd love to know more. Well, Israel, this is a very interesting question because you're calling them physical laws, but everything starts in the unmanifest, so the non-physical, and these are like laws that make up the physical world that we live in. So it's actually, what you're looking for is resources about non-physical laws, like the law, and last year I went over a lot of them. So we have the law of correspondence, also known as the law of attraction. We have the law of polarity. We have the law of one. We have the law of gender principles. There's so many different laws. The law of, let me see, gender, polarity, a structure. There's so many laws and they all work in unification. So you're asking if there's a resource that I would recommend. And here's what I have learned about recommending, which is why I really don't recommend a whole lot of things for people to go. You could go look it up, resources on your own. But here's what I've noticed with recommendations. And I'm learning from my mistakes. And so I'm teaching from what I've learned, which is I made recommendations to something or someone that I resonated with that happened to be a fake, a fraud, misguided. And because I did that, obviously there's karmic entanglement. There's consequences to that. One, I had to forgive myself for that mistake, which I consider to be a huge mistake, because people trusted me and they used my trust and they trusted this other person. And because of that mistake, that this person was not only a fake and a fraud and a con and a thief and a manipulator and blah, 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 blah. And I consciously told people to go to that person. I no longer do that anymore. And here's why, because you are going to resonate differently than I. I like people who are direct shooters, who tell it like it is and speak their truth, even though they might be a little angry, maybe they might be a little hostile, maybe they have their own journey that they're on. But I like that. I like listening to people who challenge my thinking, so I can use critical thinking and see, do I resonate with what they're saying? Do I resonate with this person? What do I like? What do I not like? And I do that. And I would encourage, Israel, that you do that as well, that you use your critical thinking and go look up the laws of one, the law of God, the laws of consciousness, the law of attraction. I mean, you're going to see a bunch of crap, and then you might find a couple gems. Use your critical thinking to find what resonates with you. There is not just one good resource. There's resources everywhere. And that's what you got to find, is what do you resonate with? Like right now, I'm really enjoying this one neuroscientist doctor that speaks truth all throughout it. Does everybody like him? No. I send him to my clients because I want my clients to challenge their own thinking, challenge what they thought was true, and learn new information. I don't give resources out to people who aren't my clients because I really don't, I don't want to steer you wrong because you might resonate with something that is there that you need to learn from. So I hope I didn't go too far off on a rabbit hole on that. But Israel, if you ask me a more specific question, I'm happy to share. If you like straight shooters, there's so many good ones out there. But you'll notice with podcasts, there's a lot of frauds as well. Some people I like to listen just because they have such a unique way of looking at things, and it makes me laugh. Ronan says, Mick, faith has become too risky for me now. Rohan, what I would suggest is that you must connect with your heart. Faith has nothing to do with your mind. The reason why you feel like faith is against you is because you have thoughts and connections and ways of believing that have canceled out your critical thinking that needs to be re-engaged. And so that way you actually, check in with yourself. Like, is this in alignment with my heart? If you use that one question, is this in alignment with my heart, and you listen to your heart, you wouldn't have as much regret. That's my theory. Test it out for yourself. I'm not a know-it-all by any means. How do I know whether what I'm doing is in alignment with my heart or not? What's the best way to test that? That's a really good question. And I think the answer might be different for everybody, but how do you know when you're listening to your heart? Well, first, what I would say is that you need to consciously ask that question and know that you need to discern for yourself when you're in connection to your heart and when you're not. So if you can make that distinction for yourself, like, okay, I'm listening to what she's saying, and use this example, like, is this leading me away from my heart or to my heart? So does what she's saying, is it causing me to get more clear or more confused? So those would be questions that you want to ask. You want to ask questions that cause you to kick in your critical thinking. Because when you've kicked in critical thinking, now you can become more aware. And so you want to know if you're in alignment by asking high quality questions. So not all questions are of quality, right? So a lot of people might ask yes or no questions, and those yes or no questions could be a low quality if the essence of the question is not quality. So you want to look at the essence of what you're looking at. I hope this makes sense. So what I would suggest, Ronan, is just like noticing how your heart feels when you touch your hand to it, how your body feels when you take a breath and breathe into your heart. Notice what happens in your body, and what do you notice? Mick is saying, it's Kiana's life. She is very good. She might be able to help you. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Mick. I don't know what I'm helping. Israel Hunter says, yes, please. Is there a written resource, maybe a title to your video? Okay, good, Israel Hunter. I have so many videos. Last year I came on here, Israel, and I did videos every single day on different topics. And I answered so many questions. Resources, there are resources, but today's a good resource because we're talking about increasing self-awareness. So Israel, let me ask you this. What behavior or what pattern do you have that you know is out of alignment with your heart? That's a great question. Everybody ask that question. I'm going to actually put that in the poll. I'm going to start a poll here. Okay, y'all, hold on. Okay, here. Do you know of a pattern that you have that is out of alignment? This is a simple yes or no question. Okay? Now, if you have a pattern that you know is out of alignment, the next challenge is, okay, that's awareness, right? So we want to take awareness into wisdom, right? So we want to test out, okay, what is that pattern that you have that is out of alignment? So let's just say, so for me, I would say the pattern was I checked my phone and I went into an email and I caught myself almost going down a rabbit hole that pulled me out of my life's purpose, which is to be in alignment with oneness, okay? That's my life's purpose. That's primary in my life. Every single day, I teach my clients how to come into alignment with themselves. I teach every person that is open to hearing and learning about me, what's important to me. Now, that's going to be different for everyone. So when you find a pattern that's out of alignment, now you want to trigger yourself, right, to go into alignment. Hello, Martin. How are you? Good to see you. Rakesh, I'm living in a dumb people life. Hey, we live in a world where lots of people are disconnected, Rakesh. The key here is to be the one who is connected, the one who's connected to your heart. Okay, Rakesh is saying, I'm hooked into social media and cheap dopamine. Perfect awareness. So you want to break the pattern, Rakesh. You know that is bringing you in a downward spiral. That's a descending cycle. You want to stop the descending cycle, you got to do a pattern interrupt. So what would be a good pattern interrupt? Some people do a disconnection of media for cold turkey and they go for a month without using social media. Like for me, I cut off Facebook. I don't like Facebook. Facebook is a massive descending cycle. And what I noticed is that there was a lot of overlays that would go over content, and I did not like that. So does everybody do that? Does YouTube do that? Yeah, all of these platforms that are organized by an overarching authority that's not you could do whatever the hell they want. Hey, Rakesh. Slot machine. Oh, you're into gambling. Okay, so that is a really good awareness. So see if you resonate with slot machines when you're in your heart. So make a rule for yourself that you don't gamble unless you're totally connected to your heart. And if you're totally connected to your heart and listening to your heart, you're not going to be gambling. So the goal then becomes to create a pattern where you're in connection to your heart all the time. And that will override the impulses eventually. So when you create the muscle, and most people don't really understand that the heart is a muscle. When you're in connection to it, it will change your life. When you're in disconnection to it, it will be problematic. Like you will have challenges every time you turn, there will be a challenge. And so knowing that you are being manipulated by this dopamine means that you need to shift a pattern. So find a pattern that gets you more into alignment. Well, there's not going to be a stronger pattern than being in full connection to your heart. So your challenge then becomes, how do I know when I'm fully in connection to my heart? That's challenge number one. Challenge number two, now that I've got the data of what it feels like to be in my heart, knowing that gambling is completely disconnection from the heart, it's an escapism. Now that you're really wanting to be real and conscious, now you make your decisions from that real and conscious space. That's how you cultivate greater awareness. Yay! So for those people who feel like they know it all, like executives, I have a lot of executive clients. They're very intelligent. They are highly resourced, but they don't always use their heart to make their decisions. So for example, I'm thinking of a former client who I have that's no longer a client. And they basically used all the tools to get material gain, the profession that they wanted, the position that they wanted, the confidence, the peacocking, if you will, into the position that they're in. They love being the head honcho, the guy in charge, which is great. You know, nothing about that. So they used everything that I taught them to do that. And this is the thing about the natural laws, is that they don't understand that there's a consequence. And maybe they do know this, I don't know. When you use these techniques of conscious awareness, everything has a consequence. So if we're not in alignment with our heart, if we're not in alignment with, let's just say, God consciousness, higher consciousness, the truth frequency, whatever you are currently in alignment to, if you're not operating from that space at the higher levels of the material influence, so let's just say you're the head honcho, you have greater influence than you did as a worker bee, right? So when you have greater impact and influence, the consequences are significantly higher. So does everybody understand that? I don't know. I suspect most people don't realize that when you have greater influence, there is greater cost. And often that cost is going to come in the way of your physical well-being. If you have weaknesses in your physical body, that leaves you open, right? When you have weaknesses and gaping holes in your spiritual body, your influence will be manipulated to do nefarious things sometimes. So hopefully that's helpful for you in some way. I don't know. Rakesh is saying, I'm trying daily, but I'm struggling to stay conscious with my current situation. Well, yeah, Rakesh, you don't like the way things are in your life, but why don't you want to get painfully real with yourself so you can make a conscious choice from that space? Wouldn't that be better? Like, the realness is I don't like how my life's turned out. Let's just say it's that simple. Okay, so what am I going to do to change it? What am I consciously going to do to change what I have created? Because you are a co-creator. That's a natural law. You are always co-creating your life experience. Now, how are you doing that? Are you doing that through your heart? Are you doing that through love, through kindness, through charity, through helping other people? I don't know. How are you doing that? So cultivating greater self-awareness ultimately comes down to changing a pattern that is incongruent. So if you have a pattern that you know is not in alignment, that's incongruence in its basic understanding. If you know that, then to become more conscious, how does it feel to have that awareness? Is it enough for you to make a conscious choice out of that space? I know it can be painfully difficult to when we go into something called judgment, like I don't like. This is one thing that a lot of people are stuck on, and it can be incredibly frustrating. But a lot of people don't like a lot of things. And so they are so focused on what they don't like. Like, Kiana, I don't like the way you said this. Or, Kiana, I don't like the way that you do this. Or, Kiana, I don't like the way how direct you are. Or, Kiana, I don't like your nose. Or, Kiana, your glasses are too dark. People are so hooked into their likes and dislikes about things that they miss the heart and the essence of the truth. And when you connect to the truth, it will be much easier to shift and stay conscious. I will agree with you, Rakesh, that there are so many distractions out there, but we must be our own guidance right back into what's important. Is this serving my heart or not? And sometimes getting disentangled from those choices that we made that made us so uncomfortable can be painful. There's no doubt. I'm going through that right now. There was a decision I made over 15 years ago that I am living with the consequences of that and consciously disentangling myself from that situation. Am I mad? Am I angry that I got into that situation? No. It is what it is. I've accepted that that happened. And that happening had these consequences. I've accepted that. Now it's my job to consciously disentangle from those things that have the consequences. And that's a consciousness thing. So you have to rate. So was I in a high consciousness or low consciousness when I made that decision? Super low. I mean, I wasn't using critical thinking. What I would say, I was using critical thinking, but I was not listening to my heart. And that created ramifications that I could never have imagined. So every day, Rakesh, it's an alignment to your heart. I have multiple fronts to fight because my family situation and upbringing that disappoints me a lot. It's also, I still have hope other than being a pessimist. Well, just decide, Rakesh, that, these family situations, as disruptive as they've been, just let it. Can you just get to the space in your heart where it is what it is? It was what it was. And just accept it in this moment of now, that you're just going to accept that it was what it was. It is what it is based on my perception. And my perception is that I am choosing to follow my heart from this point forward. And I'm going to let go of those things that no longer serve me. And if those things, ideas, that will keep you holding on to the past, then you let go of those ideas. If they're beliefs, then you let go of those beliefs and you decide, you know what, I've tried it my way. I've tried it thinking through things, and now I'm going to follow my heart from this day forward and see how your life changes. Just do an experiment for the next 30 days. Be a pessimist with your heart and see how, okay? With yourself. This life is about becoming more aware and conscious always. So if you want to cultivate greater awareness, you're going to have to let go of some of your belief systems. And I know that a lot of people don't like to talk about that because the first thing that happens is the ego gets triggered and is like, I'm not going to let go of this thing. I like it. I like feeling like crap. And a lot of people are not sure who they would be if they didn't suffer. And I would say part of that is anti-God, anti-Christ, anti-life energies that have become infiltrated in our ways of being in this planet, which is unfortunate, but something that's true. And we must look at things as they are, not how we want them to be. And from there, we create differently. I don't know. What do you think? Mick, what do you have? Just a reminder for anybody who's joined, I have heard that the notifications are not all going out. So make sure you have your notifications on. Because I haven't been recording every day, it's changed. What Rakesh is saying, what are talking about? What have entered? I don't know what your question is there. Rakesh, you might want to go back and review what I started talking about from 30 minutes on, because it was addressing your situation directly. So, I had a client that said they had a very high stress, high pressure, high stress situation. Okay, we brought their stress down from, on a scale of 0 to 10, we assessed that they were at a 7. We brought them down to a 4, which is quite significant, right? That's a lot of de-stressing that happened in our session. disentanglement from energies. So when you do that and the client so astutely had an awareness, like, I don't think that I am ready to be less than a 4 because I don't know, this is not how they said it, this is my interpretation. I don't know who I would be without the pressure, without the stress. And that's a good awareness. So you want to start to experiment with the question, who would I be without all this pressure, without all this stress? And if you think you would feel more free, then I would suggest then it's a good direction to go in. But we must understand that we're entangled with a lot of energies that don't support us in changing. Mick is saying, take your lessons and learn and move on. That's it, Mick. Life lessons, soul lessons, monadic lessons, we need to learn them all because that's how we increase our awareness. How do we create more self-awareness? You listen to things that you don't like and you look at, what am I being challenged here? What is being challenged here? Why am I being challenged here? You know, a lot of people don't like something and then they stop doing other things because they don't like it. Well, maybe what you don't like is really just a resonance that you haven't looked more deeply. In fact, a friend of mine sent me a message this morning. You know, my 30-year-old self didn't like yoga at all. I went to yoga today thinking, oh, I hope I don't like it. Like, if I like it, then I'll incorporate it. If I don't like it, I won't. And what they realized is that they changed. What they liked changed, and they tested it out, and they became more aware that what they thought they didn't like, they liked. Now, how do you know unless you test it out? My new thing that I've been trying out is kettlebell training, because I want to increase my strength, right? And I've never done kettlebell training. I'm kind of not really into heavy weightlifting. I like Pilates. Those are things that I like and enjoy, that I've liked and enjoyed my entire life. But it's good to try new things and to explore. And so my husband and I are doing kettlebell training together. Well, we've never worked out together really like that. And it's been a nice way to connect over where we're both learning something different. So how does that work? We both value learning. We both value trying new things. So it's a little bit of an adventure. And so we join together over common values. So Rakesh, look at what your value system is. That's another thing to increase awareness. If you have a knowing of what it is you truly value, if you're clear on your values, then you just match your actions against your values. And if they don't match, you stop doing what you don't value. It's a quick way to get into critical thinking, is to have your values. I always suggest that people should have, yes, Mick, it does. Let me tell you, Mick, it hurt. The amount of pain that I was in the next day, it was immense. Like, it hurt. I was in pain from, the class was on a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, I did another workout where it still hurt, but not as bad, so I went lighter. But you're right, it really does take focus. Because if you're not in the proper form, you can, like everything, get hurt. But it's good to explore and try new things. Our strength, physical strength, is really important. Trying new things is really important. Having fun learning is really important. It's important to not be the expert in absolutely everything that you do. I can honestly tell you, I'm an expert on my own body. And I take insight on how to get strength in certain ways. But let me tell you, I'm not a kettlebell expert. I'm not. But I'm an expert on how it works with my body. I'm learning. And I learned that it's actually easier to go heavier in weight with the focus than it is the lighter weight. Weird, but true. Rakesh says, I have limited time, dear. My situation is like a plane which has limited runway. I'm in my 30s. I need to support myself financially and start doing something, but I am unable to. First of all, time is a manufactured construct, all right? There is no time and space. You're in the time and space of your connection to your soul. So what you're saying is, I'm connected to a matrix that tells me 30 is limited. So that's a belief system that is not serving your soul's evolution. You are exactly where you are when you are aware where you're at. And if you are in this moment, Rakesh, willing to disconnect from your belief system, you would be far better. So, what are you aligned to? What are your values? Are you in alignment with truth? If you're in alignment to truth, that means that you're willing to disconnect from BS thoughts and beliefs. Time in the sense of job and work, they emphasize your age. Well, who's they? Who is they? And are they connected to your soul? No, they are a system of enslavement. That's the matrix, right? So disconnect, say that's a belief. I'm not buying into that belief. By the way, let me tell you how messed up that belief system is by my own experience. I got my master's degree, I think I was in my 30s somewhere. And I decided to go interview a bunch of professionals about people who were doing jobs that I thought I might want to do. And there kept on coming up this term, this is going back over 20 years, consultant. I was like, what the hell is a consultant? What does a consultant do? And I have people all the time ask me, what is a consultant? The difference between a consultant is the amount of money you make, okay? Because teachers they are the same. They teach. Consultants and teachers, they're the same thing. Don't get it twisted. They're just teaching at different levels and different spectrums of the persons. So teachers go through an indoctrination and a system of learning and teaching. Same with a master's degree So anyways, so I went and I interviewed this lady. She was in the PhD program. I can't remember her name. I met her because she was a professor of ethics. And let me tell you, she was one of the most unethical people I met in all of grad school. I think that is a true statement. She's probably one of the most consciously unethical people that, was she conscious? She wasn't conscious. Let me take that back. She was just spouting what she believed. So I don't think she was consciously unethical, but she was very incongruent. Okay. Long story short, I interviewed her and she told me, should I tell you guys her background? So you know that she's a professor of leadership. She was teaching ethics, and I needed ethics in order to graduate. And I don't know if I shared this before, but in grad school, I don't know if you know how the system works, but they stagger classes so you can't get them all the time, right? That keeps you hooked into the system. And I was like, F this. I went to the dean of the school. I say, look, I need to graduate by this date. And this class isn't offered. So you need to tell me where I can get authorized to go outside of this institution to get the class that you're saying I need to graduate. So anyway, so I got approval, authorization. You're not going to believe this story. So I got authorization from the president of the school to go outside of the university to get this class. There was 2 universities. So the one that I was like, okay, this woman that I interviewed about what a consultant is, I'm telling a lot of stories here, but she was there at the school. So it was a Christian school. It's called Biola University. It's a very, very dogmatic Christian school. And in order to get into the school to take this this ethics class from this professor, I had to do what you do. You have to sign up, you have to pay the money, and then they had something unique. They had a contract that you must sign in order to go to that university, that you will behave a particular way. And you read this contract. I read it. I was taking an ethics class. I'm reading it. And I was like, I can't assign this contract. This is unethical. I am not going to agree to not listen to music. I am not going to agree to not go dancing. So if I sign this document for an ethics class, now I'm going out my own integrity. No, I can't do it. So I went back to the principal of the school. I said, look at this crap they want me to sign. I'm not going to do it. You need to give me another class that I can take so I can graduate at this date. So long story short, I did not take the class at this university, and I advocated and I fought for what was right, which was an ethics course that did not go against my personal integrity and tell me how I could and could not behave. The other thing that's really important is the law of consent and intent and authority, okay? If we did not understand what we're consenting to, we would just sign this document thinking it means nothing, but it does. Because when we sign contracts, it has a meaning. Physically, it has a meaning, and energetically, our consent has meaning. And I was not about to violate consciously my own intent. So I ended up taking an ethics class from somebody else. Okay, so I graduated. I graduated with my master's in 9 months, okay? And I'm not saying that, I'm just giving context here. So I'm getting ready to graduate, and I'm interviewing this term that I keep hearing called consultant. I was like, what is this consultant? I'm interested. I want to know what a consultant is. A consultant is a high-paid teacher. That is it. And I teach. That's what I do. I am a teacher of experience. Every session is an experience. Everything I do is experiential. I have been teaching experience my entire life. And as a consultant, I get paid to teach for you to have an experience of yourself that is the most profound way that you can heal. Okay? You heal through your experience. You learn through your experience. You transform through your experience. You do not transform through thinking. That's why I'm not a proponent of reading a ton of shit, excuse my language, and not implementing change. I had captains. I used to coach and do work with the government a lot. And I've had captains that would rather go get a root canal than learn from me. 2-3 years later, they came back and sent me an email, unsolicited email. I wish I would have listened more to you when I had the chance, because now I'm in the position of authority, and he didn't know what to do. He was floundering. He was a joke, and he ended his career as a joke. Anyways, so there's a lot of wisdom in that story. Let me tell you the best part of the story. Mick, I'm so glad that you're here to hear this story, because this is how karma works. The woman I interviewed about being a consultant said I was too young. She said I was not educated enough. She said I did not have enough experience. She said a couple other things. But long story short, she told me no. And I thought, the hell if this lady's going to tell me no? First of all, she's been married 5 times, so she's not good at decision making. So I kind of just looked at her with a critical eye. I appreciated her comments in that it lit the fire underneath me, because what I saw that she was doing was trying to make herself better and more important than me. And anybody who you're working with that makes you feel like crap, go find somebody else. If you're not with somebody who is inspiring you, to challenge you to think, if you're not with somebody who's challenging you to go into your heart, go find somebody else. If you go to a doctor and you don't feel better after you leave that office and you're depressed and angry, go find somebody else. You should not be leaving places feeling like crap. Now, it's okay to feel like humbled. Okay? Because being humbled means you're disconnecting from the ego mind. That's a good thing. Anyways, This woman, I never saw her again. Maybe 5 years later, I was a consultant. I did not listen to her. I thought, the hell if this woman's going to dictate how I am operating. So I became a consultant. How do you become a consultant? You claim it for yourself. You say what you are. So what you are claiming, this goes back to the law of consent and intent and authority. You are the authority of your body. You are the authority of your emotions. You are the authority of your mental body. You are the authority of your spiritual body. And if you're not claiming the intention to have the authority, something else is. Okay? Now hold that thought right there. Okay, I'm fired up now. This is one of my favorite stories because a lot of people, Rakesh is saying, Kiana, not everybody has a fortune to live their life to the fullest. That's a choice though, Rakesh. I'm challenging you to start making new choices. Had I listened to this lady and I would have gone back into get my PhD, which is what she was suggesting, and I thought, the hell if I want to spend my life in this system again. This is a crackpot system. It's a rigged system. I knew that. I knew enough to know that my master's degree was but a check in the block to get me into a room with people that I was going to, in the future, consult to. I didn't know who I would be consulting to because we don't know what our future is unless you're a palm reader or a psychic. And even when you're a psychic, by the way, you're only reading the now moment. We have multiple timelines. All of our timelines, Rakesh, are determined through the now moment. When you start making conscious choices, connecting with your heart, connecting with God, your life will change. But if you're not connected to your heart, you'll be challenged. Okay. So this lady, and I needed another consultant for my job. I had a job that I could do, but I knew that it would be better received from a man. Now, that's just knowing the truth. I understand that I trigger people. I have an awareness that particular types of people have a very visceral reaction to me. I wanted to hire somebody who could be the front person for what I needed to occur happen. I was not so in my ego that I didn't know I needed somebody else to navigate this road. So I put out a call to consultants. I say, okay, consultants all out there, put your applications in. I have this job for you. And I got a ton of responses. And who responded but this woman who was a consultant is now applying to get this job that I have to offer. And the primary reason she was not hired was not because she was a woman, but because she shut down potentials and possibilities. You cannot make changes when you are coming from the belief that things are like this. Spirit does not work in logical ways. Spirit works in circular ways. So stop thinking that you need to do this and this and this and this. No, get in connection to your heart because Spirit works in non-linear ways. Okay. I love sharing that story because for me, it's so inspiring because there's so many people that tell you can't do things. And I have been told my entire life I can't do things. My entire life I've been told I couldn't do what I'm doing. Even today. Do you think that I started my career thinking I was going to be doing something called energy psychology? Are you kidding me? No, Rakesh. You have to understand that when you listen to your heart, you will find ways of being that are very unconventional and very fulfilling. And it doesn't match up with the matrix of the conditioned ways of being. It doesn't match up with going to the gym every single day and doing the same type of workouts and listening to these prescriptions that these people pitch that everybody needs to do things the specific way. It's not. Mick, she was wrong. She was wrong. And I have, my ego sometimes will say, oh, Kiana, you should just write her and tell her how much what she did was wrong. Sometimes I think that, but I feel like it's not even worth the energy to tell her how incongruent she was. Her imprint on my life is a zero. A zero. Had I listened to her and gone and taken her advice and thought that she was a sage, which she wasn't, then she would have been able to have imprinted my life. And what I will tell you is that she was probably, in hindsight, now looking in, she was 100% tapped into a demonic energy. But you wouldn't have guessed it just looking at her. Just because people have this life, Rakesh, that they think that they have, doesn't mean their spirit and their soul is on the right path. You must be connected to your own heart and your own soul. Rakesh says, you are a quality person. Oh, thank you, Rakesh. You are too. See, that's why you're here. The masses are not ready. There's 7 people watching this video, right? The masses are not ready to take full responsibility and to co-create and realize that what they give consent to matters. Not everybody can hear that message, Rakesh. The U.S. is more than just a capitalism that we feed through social media. Well, Mick, was she a dream killer? Oh my gosh. I don't know what she was. But she actually ignited, like, I'm just glad that critical thinking is important. Energy flows where attention goes. Right, Raymond? Yes. Like a plant. Feed what you want to grow. Like, look at this basil plant. Look at how pretty. Feed what you want to grow. Do you know how old this plant is? It's got the wrapping on like we just bought it because we learned taking the wrapping off, actually it fell down. So we haven't quite figured out how to make it stand up without the wrapping. But this plant's probably 6 months old. Feed what you want to go. Raymond, energy flows where attention goes. That is 100%. So what are you feeding? Do you know your values? Write your values down. Have your top 5 values written down. Those should dictate your actions every single day. Those should dictate whether you continue thinking what you're thinking or you disconnect from it. If you are in alignment with your values that are in alignment with your heart and in alignment with the truth, you're not going to be a gambler. You might gamble until you pull out of the matrix slowly. So it's a slow shift. Maybe it's a rapid shift. It depends on how quickly you're willing to let go of those impulses. Those impulses are coming from EMFs. Those EMFs are not seen, right? People don't see them, but you can feel them, right? So last night, or yesterday, we were out to lunch with a friend, and she can't sleep, and I don't want to consult to her energetically, so I didn't say anything, but I just said, oh, try turning off your Wi-Fi in your house. Just try it. And so I came home, and I wanted to turn off our Wi-Fi. It should be turned off at sleep. I turned it off at sleep. My husband wakes up early. He starts working, and I noticed the energy within the house was very different. Rakesh is saying, thank you. I wish in the future I could meet you in person. So much wisdom in 1 hour session. Thank you, Rakesh. Sending you lots of love and hope and conscious awareness. Get your 5, if you do nothing else, get your 5 values. That will help you become more consciously aware. And when you have more conscious awareness, then you can become more self-aware and start disentangling from patterns that no longer serve you. Anyways, I appreciate you all. Mick, I don't know if she was a dream killer. I think she wasn't conscious. So I'm going to say She was just information. That's all she was. And it's the quality of information. So everybody has quality. Hey, nobody. Good to see you. Everybody, not all information is equal. So she gave her low frequency quality information. Oh, Oliver, you're still here. Oh, thanks for being here. Raymond is saying my top favorite states: love, kindness, gratitude, confidence, and curiosity. Beautiful. Are those your values or just preferences? Because imagine if you use those 5, what you're calling states, as values. Imagine if you bounced off every pattern in your field and said, is this loving? Is this kind? Is this grateful? Is this put me in confidence? Does this put me in curiosity? It could change how you operate. So anyways, it's so good to see you all. Rakesh is saying, off topic, have you ever gotten a scam call? Yeah. In fact, Rakesh, I don't even answer my phone. Unless I know I have a client call and it's scheduled, I don't answer my phone. And it's because my phone number was given to some scam, and I get scams like all day long. So I don't answer them, no. Everything just goes straight to voicemail. And unless I know you and unless it's urgent, I'm not answering my phone. And unless you're paying me for a call. Yeah, Raymond, you don't either. Yeah, I mean, what's the point? Anyways, I really appreciate you all watching. We have 15 votes. Let's see. Okay, so 93% of you know that you have a pattern that's out of alignment. So for those of you who are willing to and up for the challenge, you take the one pattern that you have that you know is out of alignment, and you consciously choose to go and create a new pattern that is not that pattern. So you need to do what's called a pattern interrupt. And when you do a pattern interrupt, you bring in conscious choice to direct your attention elsewhere, which Raymond so beautifully chimed in to feed what you want to grow. So you have to shift your attention away from this pattern and into this other pattern. All right, y'all. So fun to see you today. Thank you for your time and attention and your beautiful contributions. I hope you have a great day. I think today is Monday all day. I have clients this afternoon, so I will see you later. See you maybe tomorrow. Thank you, Mick. So good to see you. Thank you for being here and joining me. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, guys. I'm going to turn off my light here. I'll see you next time. Put on your notifications. Have a great Tuesday, Rakesh.